Hello there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy GMAC, Andrew Claudio, here for another edition of the Knicks Film School Podcast. Casual Friday. Hope you all had a great week. We're going to recap the week in some way, which we're all asking kind of the same question today, or a version of the same question. The vibes, as far as I'm concerned, are a bit concerning, but I'm going to go around the round table and see if they share in those same concerns. We'll start with the man who wasn't here last week, the man, the myth, the legend, my fellow Mets and Jets fan, Mensa. Mensa, how you doing, my man? How are the vibes?
The vibes are concerning is hilarious. I think the vibes are they're really regular season is what I would say, where they're up and then they're down, and then they're up and then they're down. Right now we're down in 3 games. They might be up. Slate looks a little tough. So I think the vibes are concerning is a great place to be. I'm a little concerned where the vibes are.
Yes, the vibes are inconsistent, as might be a better way. But the vibes are concerning are 100% my vibes right now. I will say, though, that maybe some numbers might help me out in getting over some of the vibes. So welcome once again, Mr. XJ. XJ, how are the vibes?
The numbers won't help the vibes. I got to be honest. The vibes have a sprained thumb, and the vibes, we should check back on the vibes in about a month. So that's what I have to say.
Was it a sprained thumb, or did he break something? I thought he got surgery to repair something that was broken.
Whatever it is, I know it's about a month.
Yeah.
That's my main concern. When are you coming back?
The vibes are about a month away. There you go. Well, just in time for the Knicks to play a rival Atlanta Hawks that comes in winners of 4 in a row. And who better than somebody who has gone to war with many a member of Hawks Twitter? And that's Shawn with the W. Shawn, how are the vibes?
To quote the late, great Dennis Green, the vibes are what we thought they were. Because, like XJ said, I believe it was XJ, I'm old and I'm losing my memory. It's regular season vibes. It's
it was Mensa.
I told you.
Literally a minute ago.
A minute ago. I am getting old. My short-term memory is going. No, the vibes are what they are what we thought they were. They're regular season. It's like, okay, we lost a game, we won a game. Like we lost to a team on Monday that gives us problems, and then that same team, tired as hell, went and lost to a team that's within their range. So the vibes are what we thought they were. At least I did.
So you expect the Knicks to go into Atlanta and do what?
Oh, they can win that game.
So you dismissive of the Hawks team that's won 4 in a row.
Okay. Since, the playoff series in 2021, where I made friends of plenty of Hawks fans on the Bird app, I've come to see it's at least 3 to 4 times a year where the Hawks go on a little run and they start flapping their gums and they start getting happy. Insert seed here we come. And then they end up where? In the play-in where they belong, because they're not that good.
Well, that is a great...
Actually, no. They are
never mind.
Who we thought they were. Thank you.
Well, hopefully the Knicks don't let them off the hook. Good question, though. How good are the Hawks? Because we might be asking that about the Knicks throughout this edition of Casual Friday. Time to go through box and 1. XJ, we're going to start with you here because I know there's some... We should start off with the data and then get into see whether the stats care about how we feel about this team. I know I've wondered how high the ceiling is. That's apparently turned into I predicted the certain ceiling for this team. But XJ, where do you want to start with box and 1 today?
Yeah, I'm happy to start. We know that I always have the same kind of segment, a segment I like to call Stats Don't Care About Your Feelings. And during this segment, I share one Knicks stat or a collection of stats that seems potentially troubling and learn from the crew whether it brings them down or they're totally unconcerned. Last week's segment was about the dynamic between Jalen. Not Jalen. Actually, it is Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. And whether they would be a star pairing that would work in the long term. this week I thought, why don't we expand that conversation out from the Knicks' 2 best players to their 3 best players? So we're going to have an old-fashioned big 3, aka mid-3 discussion today. And after our conversation about JB and Randall, actually KFS's very own newest contributor, DJ, aka Ace Zulo on Twitter, he sent me a DM saying that if you look at just kind of the raw on-off between Randall and Brunson, it actually works fine when they're included in a lineup with a solid defensive anchor like Mitch or actually even Grimes. And this is totally true, of course, but in fact, almost every lineup that Mitch is in has a strong on-off. And this conversation is actually going to help put into perspective how badly the Knicks are going to miss Mitch for the next month or so. So even further to understand how well these Mitch lineups work, he's in 4 out of the Knicks' 5 most effective lineups that have had at least 100 possessions. And he's only in 1 lineup that has a negative point differential with at least 100 possessions. Only 1 lineup that Mitch has been a part of with at least 100 possessions has a negative point differential. Can
I guess it?
I actually don't know what it is. I just wrote that down. But
guessing an Evan Fournier.
Evan Fournier is involved.
I wonder if any Evan Fournier lineup has 100 possessions, but maybe it does. He played a lot in the beginning of the season. But the rest of those negative point differentials have Hartenstein in them. So
great.
that part's probably not a surprise. So anyway, the point is when we talk about big threes, it's almost basically inarguable that, the Knicks offensive anchor, Mitchell Robinson, is the third man in the Knicks big 3. RJ may be that guy someday, but Mitch has clearly been one of their 3 best guys this year. So for this segment, what I want to do is 2 things. First, I want to look at the data around the Knicks big 3, just like some kind of ancillary and general broad data, just to get a sense of how good they've been. And then I want to do a quick exercise where we take a look at all of the big 3s around the league, and we each say where we think the Knicks big 3 ranks. And then after you give your ranking, I want to hear whether you're concerned about this or you feel encouraged about what that means moving forward. So first, real quick, per clean the glass, which we know filters out garbage time. When Brunson, Randall, and Mitch are all on the court together, the Knicks have a plus 6.1 on-off differential, which would be good for 86th percentile in the league. And so with all 3 on, their offense scores 120 points per 100 possessions, and their defense gives up 113 per 100 possessions. And so we don't see some of the more dramatic downsides to the defense that we saw when we just looked at Brunson and Randall together. And also I looked at 2 of the best 1-number metrics in basketball. You all know that I love to look at these, EPM and Raptor, and combine them for every big 3 in the league. And so I see that the Knicks big 3 combined EPM ranked 18th in the league among all the big 3s. And then their combined Raptor actually ranked 10th in the league amongst all big 3s. And then finally, that on-off that I mentioned of plus 6.1 ranked 11th in the league among all big 3s. So we're going to shift over to... So recently I had some disagreements with a few Raptors fans on the Bird app, as Shawn likes to say.
Yeah, you had a busy week there, XJ.
Following a really sad loss, but, following a loss. And a couple of them, they ridiculed me. It hurt me so much. They called me like a spreadsheet boy, and they said I use spreadsheets for my arguments. And so now I'm going to proceed.
Hold on. I got it.
What's that?
My favorite comeback this week is when you're like, I'm sorry that you need to understand high school algebra in order to have a conversation with me. And that's what I DM'd you guys like, yo, Mensa. Oh, no, my bad. But XJ, Mensa had... You guys know what I'm trying to say. XJ had time today, and I said it to Mensa, is what I was saying. It was very fun to watch you cook.
I had time, and I used it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used it on the Raptors fan. So yeah, if anyone feels like looking at some interesting Twitter back and forth, feel free to go to that thread on my Twitter. Anyway, so given that I was called spreadsheet boy, I want to use a spreadsheet for my current argument. So let's make those. Let's make those Raptors fans accurate. So I'm going to share my screen now. And
once it pops up, I'll put it up there. Don't worry.
Okay, great.
And there it is. Boom. Spreadsheet boy to the rescue.
Spreadsheet boy, here I am. And so what we have here is I made a list of every single team's big three, and then I combined their EPMs and I looked at all of their combined on-offs. And then I ranked them by EPM. This is just to give us kind of like a sense of, just a general sense of where they're ranked by some advanced metrics. This is not an anchor. Besides people thinking that I don't think EPM is like the end all be all and is all that matters. So this is just to give us a general outline. And then I highlighted in blue all of the big threes that I thought we would all agree were above the Knicks big three. So, but please let me know if that's not true. I'm going to read those off for the podcast listeners. We have the 76ers big three, Embiid, Harden, and Tobias Harris. I said Harris because Maxi's super overrated and not better than Quickly.
Whoa.
That's a conversation for another time. Grizzlies, Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Bane. Nets, Durant, Kyrie, and Claxton. Nuggets, Jokic, Murray, Gordon. Bucks, Giannis, Holiday, Middleton. Cavs, Mitchell, Allen, Garland. Celtics, Tatum, Brown, and Smart, and Warriors, Curry, Green, and Thompson. Does anyone on the panel think that the Knicks big three is better than any of those 8 that I just read off?
No.
Okay.
The other 2 are shaking their heads.
Okay, great.
Media.
I can't see them on Spreadsheet Boy right now. Okay,
you're
great.
good.
Okay, great. So we're all in agreement there. And then, I think that this is where the Knicks conversation can start between Brunson, Randle, and Robinson. I will say, we'll switch it up a little bit for the this segment, and I'll go first. And I'll say I think that LeBron, AD, and Westbrook, although Westbrook's an anchor bringing those 2 down, I think LeBron and AD are good enough that they're still better than the Knicks top 3. And then you all might disagree with this. I like Lillard, Simons, and Jeremy Grant. I think Lillard's just really become underrated now at this point. I
need you to have a conversation with Chris, please. Chris thinks
is he gonna convince me that Lillard's awful?
No, not convince. He will argue with you that and then you will use data and he'll disagree. And this was like the biggest disagreement I had with him 2 years ago. I'm fine if you don't want to go all in on Dame Lillard. Don't have your argument be Dame's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So. No, I don't think you can argue that Dame's bad. No, I don't think that.
Oh, you can, whether you're right or not.
I guess you could. Raptors fans could argue it, I'm sure. Okay. And then, Zion, Ingram, and McCollum, I think are better. Just Zion and Ingram. Again, the top 2 are so good. That was the one that I had written down that you didn't say in that first date, that the New Orleans big 3. Yeah. That they're really good. And then, I got between the Brunson, Randle, Robinson, or Paul George, Kawhi, and Zubac. Zubac, I think, weighs them down, and Kawhi, who knows when he plays and how much he plays and what his issue is. So, I think the Knicks are around there. So around 11th is what I would have their big 3, which I think is really encouraging personally. So I've been, I put together the spreadsheet. So I'm really more interested to hear what the rest of you guys think.
Shawn, we'll go to you first.
So I was looking at it and I had them around 12, 13. And the one that I struggled with is, so I had, I actually have it open on my laptop here. So the top 8 that we mentioned, the one I struggled with was Doncic, Wood, and Dinwiddie, simply because it's Luka effing Doncic.
Yeah.
That's the difference between 12 and 13. And then the 12th one was the other one I struggle with is the same one that you just spoke about, Kawhi, Paul George, and Zubac, simply because it's Kawhi and Paul George, but they actually have to play. But when they play, it's no contest. But do they actually play? Right. No. I'm thinking that when playoff time comes around, they'll get it together. But for a purpose of this argument, which I assume is based on regular season, I can say you have to pick our guys because Julius never misses a game. And Jalen Brunson's missed 4, 5. So now obviously Mitchell Robinson misses his customary 20 games a year, but your top 2 guys are way more, they're actually on the court more than the Clippers guys.
You want something funny, by the way, Shawn? You know how many games Jalen Brunson missed?
No, 2.
2.
I just didn't know.
He's actually been more
It
available.
felt like 5. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because the 2 games were the Dallas game, which took 5 years off our lives, and then the San Antonio game, which was a continuation of the Dallas game. So, yeah, between our top 2, they've only missed 2 games, and you add in that the Clipper look peak wise, I would put the Clippers there. There's a column that you took out, XJ, when you set this chart earlier. And it's possessions, and that's something I factored in when I was going through it. Is the number? See, now you put it onto the screen so people can see it. The possessions being what they are for this, it's just so little with the Clippers that I know in the playoffs I've seen it work. I would probably take like night 1 of the postseason, the Clippers ahead of the Knicks for this season. And like, it's all on paper. I have no clue what to do with that team. So I would take the Knicks big 3 if I know that availability matters, but like 2K, I'm going to pick the Clippers over the Knicks in that sense. Mensa, what about you? Where do you have them?
I think I'm a little lower. I think I would have all 9 of those teams. So the Sixers, the Grizzlies, the Nets, Nuggets, Lakers, Bucks, Cavs, Celtics, Warriors. I have all of them above the New York Knicks. I would also take the Blazers just because that Top Gun Damian Lillard is something special. Even if I think that Simmons and Grant, I'm just gonna come out and say it. I think that Quick might be better than Anthony Simons. At least, like, if you give him the opportunity to play as much as Anthony Simons plays. You can't take the off-ball shooting away from Anthony Simons. If Quick had that, oh my, forget about it. But he's not there yet. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I like us over the Heat, believe it or not. I just think Hero on defense is a target more than anything else. And then I think the Raptors' big 3 is better than us just because I look at Siakam, Anunoby, and Van Vliet. Even if not this season, I look at them as like what ideally I would like. I would like RJ, Randall, and Van Vliet to work like symbiotically the way
Brunson.
Brunson to work the way, like that with that team chemistry. I think that. And then we've just seen the Raptors just be good for a very long time. So I guess it's just biased there for me. I don't like the Pelicans over the Knicks just because, again, availability. Zion and Ingram, they miss games for different reasons. And McCollum may be as good as Brunson, but availability matters. And I just want to spend some time to but point out the 23rd and 25th best teams as far as their big 3s go. I'm talking about the Atlanta Hawks and the Minnesota Timberwolves, who did not understand the win curve, but that's another discussion for another day. Same thing with the Chicago Bulls, 26, didn't understand the win curve. So I think the Knicks are around like 15th, 16th.
So I'm somewhere in the middle. The Beal, Porzingis, Kuzma big 3 after watching them the last 2 weeks, and it's solely just what happened to Kyle Kuzma that he's like prime Kobe Bryant now, like hitting these crazy shots. No, I don't think he's prime Kobe Bryant. I saw everybody make a face. I'm just saying he's making shots he didn't used to. I know he didn't even like shoot that well the other night, but the fact of the matter is he commands your attention more than he used to, which as a third guy is interesting. Notably, on the Raptors' big 3, Scotty Barnes wasn't there.
Who?
I don't know.
I never heard of that guy.
Yeah, apparently he is also not him.
You mean the guy who was on RJ Barrett's like right shoulder as he was dunking the basketball and should have been called a foul?
Yes.
RJ Barrett's just really strong and Scotty Barnes is a weak little boy.
I know who you're talking about now. Yeah.
I think I remember him, but I don't really know who
him. He's not him.
Them. You mean them?
I think I remember Mr. Barnes. But I don't know about that guy. Yeah, no, I'm not too familiar with him.
Andrew, would you argue that
this went exactly how I wanted it to go? Go ahead.
Would you argue that Barnes should be there over Van Vliet? Because I think. Oh, okay, all right.
No,
I think I recognize Scotty Barnes. I think he's the runner-up to Michael Carter Williams as far as not who they thought he was going to be.
Good Lord,
he hasn't beat those allegations yet. And he's currently on trial. I don't know how good his lawyer is, but he's currently on trial. But these MCW allegations are coming hot and ready.
You know, when the MCW allegations first started coming out, I thought that was low because as someone who watched MCW play up close for years, and I was like, I never understood the fascination of that guy. Like now, you know what? Starting to see it.
He just has long arms.
Oh man, this went exactly how I wanted it to go. My only point was just to bring up the Raptors to see if that would go, if this would happen XJ. I think the Knicks are around 13-14 I would have the Pelicans over them. Availability is a fair point, but I would have the Clippers over the Knicks if you're talking just peak and talent. So around 12-14, give or take two teams that have a higher ceiling. The Lakers one is a good question because yes, LeBron James and Anthony Davis are better than any two players the Knicks have. I go a bunch of Knicks before I get to Westbrook. Although he's been fine as a sixth man this year, I cannot ignore the most recent crunch time performances from him.
Also, all of Russell Westbrook's recent highlights should have their Curb Your Enthusiasm theme song behind them.
Exactly.
That's how bad it's
been. So go ahead, XJ.
I was just going to say, so no question on Booker, Paul, Bridges. And I put Bridges, by the way, because Ayton is having a terrible season. I don't know what's wrong with DeAndre Ayton, but no questions about that one from anybody.
Speaking of terrible seasons, Chris Paul.
Yeah.
It's just father time, man.
That's Cliff Paul out there right now.
Booker is better than our three guys, but the problem is the gap between one and two, like the other two guys. Like, and look, Bridges is legit, but you're not running plays. Bridges, you're not scared of offensively, and Chris Paul.
So I think when Devin Booker or Chris Paul went out, I think somebody put a stat up. It was like Michael Bridges before and after, and the stats were basically the same. I thought that was hilarious. Like, you're supposed to step up. He's like, nah, 12.6 points.
Playing my role.
I'm going to play it well. Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that was my only question. I agree with you. I agree with you guys. So we're all around the same. We have them top 15 at least. I think all of us did. So that's good. I think that's positive, and I think that's a positive development in terms of how things look moving forward. So I'm sure we'll continue to talk about that throughout the pod. But thanks for engaging in the exercise with me. And that was Stats Don't Care About Your Feelings.
Well, the important part about the point you brought up is that they're going to be missing one of those big three for the next month, it looks like. And as much as the mid three of RJ being the third person gets grouped together, as we'll go as far as these three will take us, we really have gone as far as the Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson three have taken us for a long time this season. So the next month we'll be curious to see how good this team is, which leads us to the next question coming from Mensa.
This is kind of like a 180 for me after my first topic about how we were not ready for Donovan Mitchell. The question is pretty simple. Are the New York Knicks, as currently constructed, where their assets are and what it would cost for one of these players, are the Knicks 1 or 2 star players away? And taking into consideration what it would cost, because I think that's the big difference now, is that the Knicks would need less of their assets to get a star because they're more valuable. And assess especially with where the Knicks are. I think we're 25 and 21, right? That's the record?
Yep, 25 and 21.
If you guys will hold on for me to do some quick math. Nope, that's my alarm clock. Okay. Live podcasting, baby. All right.
You're taking my job here, Mensa, with math stuff. And
okay. 21 divided by 25.
Carry the one.
No, it's not how that works. Okay.
What are you calculating?
The Knicks win percentage right now is at...
there's this thing called the internet that will show you.
54%.
It's at 54%.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out ESPN.com.
Shout out 25 divided by 46.
Perfect. So there you go. The New York Knicks are currently, you know what it is? Like, I know how to do this. It's just like on the spot. My brain said, no, you can't do this.
No, you have to go to the calculator. Yes, I got you.
So the Knicks are currently on a 44 game win pace. 44 win pace. Yeah, I think that's how you say it. Do you think if we traded whatever and we kept all three of our big three, and you add a 1, not like a 1A, not a 1B, not a 2, are the Knicks 1-star away, or do they still need a second guy?
Shawn, go ahead.
So we add a legitimate number one guy. We still have Julius. We still have RJ. We still have Brunson.
For this example, we still have unless
who are the non-big three guys that we still have? That's up to you. It depends on it's up to interpretation. You know, like what do you think that the Knicks roster? Like it basically the question it boils down to three things. Do you think that the Knicks roster can withstand a star trade? Do you think, and who are those players that you think will have to go out? And then how do you think those guys will gel together? So let's say, personally, I think the perfect star for this team, and it won't happen, so this is not speculation or anything. I think the perfect guy for this team is a guy like Nikola Jokic. He'll fit everybody in where they need to. And if you add Jokic to this team, would that be a title contender, or an actual, factual, team that can win one, or do we still need another guy? Or if to you that guy is, because we're talking about true ones here, we're talking about a Doncic, a Giannis, or whoever that true one is to you. It could be an SGA if that's how you're feeling. Are the Knicks a true one away, or do they still need more pieces? And who are those guys that are going out? It's a whole thing. If the Knicks had a true one, they'd be a title contender.
Yes. But that's
isn't
that like how ones work though? Like if you have a one, you're a true well, I guess.
Oh, Dallas.
There you go. There you go. Dallas still needs more pieces. And I don't think
Sixers are a real title contender either.
And the Lakers have a true one. LeBron James is still a true number one, if you ask me. He's still playing at a very high level. It's just that team is as garbage gets, especially because Anthony Davis isn't healthy. So it's like, do you think the Knicks will need one or two guys? Because I don't think we're thinking about it that way anymore. Like, for me, it's all about the medium and long term of where the Knicks are going to go as a franchise. And would we be able to withstand RJ Barrett going out and Quentin Grimes going out and adding a Tatum or something like that? And I know that's not perfect or anything, but is it if you're looking at Brunson, Quickly, Tatum, Randall, and Mitch, is that a title contender? Because Tatum to me is a true one. You know, so you have listen, there are levels to what a true one actually is. Because you have Tatum, who is a true one to me, and then you have Luka Doncic and Steph Curry, and they're true zeros almost, you know? So again, it's up to you guys.
So I'll say this. It's funny XJ said he didn't consider the Sixers a title contender, because I think you put Joel Embiid on this team, they're a title contender. I'm an Embiid stan. I will be I don't like these words stan, but I'm a big Embiid fan. I'm more of an Embiid fan than other people are. But to answer your question, Mensa, so yes, if you add that one, they're a title contender. However, I think so. Let's take Embiid, because if it goes belly up in Philly like we think it will, he may be the one to be you know what, I've had enough. So if you add Embiid, and we're also dealing with Daryl Morey, you're going to have to send out all the picks, all the swaps, obviously. Then you're, in terms of player capital, IQ is gone, Obi's gone, and they're going to ask for one of, stop me if you've heard this before, Grimes or RJ. And knowing this front office will choose Grimes over RJ. And I think that if you send RJ out and you keep Grimes and you have Embiid and Brunson and Randall, they're a title contender. And on top of it, I think what ends up happening is once you have Embiid, Randall becomes expendable, and then you can get stuff for Randall because Randall without the ball in his hands is
unhappy,
and how productive he is up for interpretation. XJ, what do you think?
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a different take. So I think the Knicks are 1 star away. I don't think it has to be an MVP level guy. I don't even think it has to be like a Tatum level guy, to be honest. And the reason I think that is because the great thing about the position that the Knicks are in now is that they can really count on some organic improvement because they have some young players who are gonna just get better, right? Like this is kind of what we're seeing right now. I think it's the floor for the team. So we're gonna see Grimes get better. Like he's in his second year. He's 22 years old. We're gonna see RJ get better. We're gonna see Quickly get better. And I think if they can get a star, even at the caliber of like a Devin Booker in, I don't think you have to give up as much as like Shawn was talking about what you would have to give up for Embiid. I agree with that. I think you'd have to give up everything for Embiid, but I don't think you'd have to give up everything for Booker. I think you can just do picks primarily.
Booker is on a great contract.
And it just started. Like you're talking about 5 years of control right now.
And I think you can just do like mortgage your draft for the next 5 years, the picks and the swaps, unprotected, everything. And just maybe one of these guys between Grimes, RJ, Quickly. Like I think you can negotiate more around a guy like Booker, especially if Phoenix ends up kind of doing a fire sale, which I don't know which direction they're going to go in. This is a conversation we've also had off air. But if they went in this direction, I think he's gettable. And I think with a guy like Booker in, let's say Booker takes the place of RJ.
He would have to.
Yeah. Right. And then we still have Grimes. We still have Quickly. We still have Randall. We still have Brunson. We still have Mitchell Robinson. This is a stacked team. A lot of those guys are still getting better. And then we can also talk about free agents who are not like the highest end free agents, but who would add some depth to the bench, like the kinds of guys that we're targeting this year in trades. I think, a guy like a Josh Hart, a guy like a Kelly Olynyk, and who already has an NYK in his name, so he's destined to be a Knick. A guy like a Royce O'Neal, a guy like a Isaiah Hartenstein. Not like a Hartenstein.
Too soon.
Sorry, guys. But anyway, guys like that who are actually going to be available in like 2024 or 2025. And you talk about that, adding that veteran depth to guys who are getting better, who I think are going to have really high ceilings, guys like Quickly and Grimes. I think those are it's underrated the level that they're going to get to. Maybe Randall maintaining this, Brunson getting a little bit better, putting in a guy like Booker, Robinson being consistent. I think that's a title contender. I really do. So that's kind of my takeaway.
Booker being the guy, I think raises your ceiling to that. That's for sure. Can I ask you, what if it's Jalen Brown?
No, not the same level. Not the same level. I think Booker's markedly better than Jalen Brown.
I do too. Just Booker's going to cost you an arm and a leg. Jalen Brown's a free agent as early as like next summer. So that's more what I'm saying. If you don't have to give up all your assets and it's just make a play for cap space.
2024, not 2020, not next summer. The summer after that.
What's
Jalen Brown?
Yeah, right. This summer is 2023.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like,
no, I apologize.
You're good. We're 2022 just ended.
Yes, you're right.
I've been making that same mistake like next year.
I don't know what year this is.
Yeah,
I didn't even know what Mensa said earlier, so I'm all
That's very true. Man, we're revealing everything today, Shawn. To answer your question, Mensa, I struggle with how like who the star would be, because yes, obviously like they get Jokic, they're a title contender, but like
there are very few teams you can't say that about.
But that's the thing. Like there's like 4 or 5 guys that I think would make the Knicks a title would make any team a title contender. I am starting to wonder if one of the mid 3 will still be here when this team is ready to contend. And I almost wonder if Julius is the one that has to be the one to go, because I've seen RJ. Granted, it was open gyms and whatever you want to call that season where he shot 40% from 3. I've seen him be a positive off-ball player. And in this role, with Jalen Brunson being the second best player next to the true one, which is how I imagine the Knicks would have to be. So in this scenario, I would think Julius in the power forward position would be the upgrade, or maybe they play a little differently, but who knows? I'm not even sure who the guy would be, but like the power forward position is the one I've stared at, which is why the Sixers not being a title contender is fascinating. And I'm with Shawn on the Embiid love. And it's why I'm curious how this postseason goes. If they're a 5 seed and losing in 6 to the Cavs away from having exactly the same like outcome as the Jazz did a season ago, where they then decided to blow it up. So I'm intrigued what happens with Embiid. I don't know if Daryl Morey will trade within the division. Oh wait, he just did. He traded Ben Simmons for James Harden. So there's obviously precedent there that he's not afraid to trade within the division. And maybe his whole thing of like, I don't believe in completely blowing it up with a superstar trade, that you want to get something back, is why he would want Julius in return. So that way it's, borderline 2-time All-Star, we're not completely blowing it up just to tank. We're actually trying to get better here. So that's my thought, at least. Actually, what you got?
I just wanted to say, I love Embiid too. I'm a huge Embiid fan as well. I just don't think the team around him is that great in Philly. I just want to say, like, if we're really trying to ascend to that championship contention, I would like to upgrade a position where we would have the most kind of bang for our buck in terms of the upgrade. So, like, obviously Embiid is considerably better than Mitchell Robinson. Like, I would never argue that they're in the same league, but at the same time, Mitchell Robinson is really good and impacts winning in a huge way. And he's on a really great contract, a contract that I criticized at first, which I'll put my hand up. I was wrong about that one. Definitely. And he's on a great contract. So if we're going to make an upgrade, why would it be at a position where we have already a really great impactful player at a great value, like an amazing value that's only going to get better as the cap increases? I wouldn't target the center position as the place where I want to get the upgrade. I would target a position where we have more, there's kind of like more space where you can get a lot better, going from someone like RJ, even RJ improving, to Booker. That's a huge, like a much bigger upgrade. What's up, Shawn?
No, I'll finish and then I will.
Oh, no, I'm done.
That was it. Yeah, that was it.
So beggars can't be choosers. So if Joel Embiid is available, I'm not gonna be like, well,
that's
I'd rather
me. Yeah,
like, nah, like, come on, we'll figure it out, right?
That's literally what Portland did. They were like, we have a guard named Clyde Drexler. We don't need this Michael Jordan guy. We'll get Sam Bowie. So like, yes. You're right in that we don't need to upgrade the center position, but Joel Embiid is an upgrade regardless.
So that actually made me. So what I actually want to say before that was, now that I think about it, Mitch absolutely has to go on that trade because there's no reason to have Mitch. Mm-hmm. So maybe we keep Obi, and
that's how it happens. That's how it happens.
Because what happens is, again, and I didn't realize this until
damn
now.
Fun team.
I didn't realize this until now. Man. Like, the Julius Randle Renaissance means that we now have more, because I've always said that Julius goes to the star trade. Mm-hmm. But if Julius, so put it like this, Morey, because I believe Morey will tank. Morey just never tanked in Houston because ownership didn't let him. Morey will take either Mitch or if he wants to tank, he'll take Mitch. If he doesn't want to tank, he'll take Julius, because we can see you could be a good team with Julius. But now I can get something from Mitchell Robinson, like something around the edge, around the margins to fill it. So that's why I think, like, because to me, I think the Knicks' biggest hole right now is they do not have a player that when the game is on the line, I can give him the ball, and more often than not, it's 2 points or you're going to the foul line. That's what you need, and that's what a true number one is. So I will take any of these number one guys, but because of where we're at, and because of the value because we have rehabbed the value of these guys this year, we actually can really get there. And the last thing I'll say is about the Suns is that I think you have to include players because the Suns do not care about the draft. And I know this because James Jones literally said, we don't value draft picks as much as other franchises do. So they will ask for, no, I want guys for Booker. So it will be like, it won't be like Angel, give me all the picks. It's like, no, I want Grimes and I want RJ and I want Quickly and I like everybody.
That's an incredible point. Yeah, that's an incredible point.
So I just want to give my opinion on it before we
go ahead.
Go.
Yeah.
I do think that the Knicks are one player away. I think the Knicks are one star away. I don't think that player is Donovan Mitchell, and we won't rehash that. But I do believe that the guy that has to go out, and it's perfect, is Julius Randle. Because if you're trading Julius Randle, I would say that he's not more valuable than Jalen Brunson, but we're not trading Jalen Brunson. Julius Randle going out reminds me of the Kawhi Leonard trade, where you have a guy in DeMar DeRozan who everybody with a brain knew he wasn't going to be your number one. But because an organization like San Antonio doesn't necessarily believe in tanking unless a 7'3" French guy is available, but that's another story. They were like, okay, we'll take this guy. And because we took this guy from you, your pick package is going to be considerably less. Of course, again, not apples to apples because it's a different era. Picks weren't flying around the way they're flying right now. But if you're trading a Julius Randle, maybe you can get away with 3 unprotected and one swap or something and not trade all the fake picks. Because of how good he's been, your assets, you don't have to trade all of them out. Even a team can't get greedy with you. And even if a team does want to get greedy, you can say, okay, you don't want to give up Julius. You don't want Julius Randle. We can flip him to another team who will give us the assets that'll make it cheaper for us. So, and then on top of that, I think that you don't want to trade. I personally would not get rid of Grimes and Barrett personally, because I think those two make a ton of sense symbiotically. They have the height and they have the intensity. And personally, when you have a star guy, you don't necessarily need your wings. If your star's not on the wings, you don't necessarily need the 25 point per game wings, but you do need guys who can get you a bucket off the dribble, and they can both get you a bucket off the dribble. And Barrett, we all know Barrett can be a good defender. We know that Grimes is potentially all NBA material if things are trending in the right direction. And then Brunson is the bucket. He's the guy that you can. So those 3 right there is what I would say. Brunson, Barrett, Grimes. I think they make a ton of sense, and you don't want to break that up, because when you look at a team like Philadelphia, and maybe Maxi's okay, Harden and Harris doesn't necessarily fit. They're clunky 1 through 3 with a guy like that. The Knicks have built a team that makes a ton of sense. I've never seen a team the Knicks have had that is just synergistic, which we wouldn't have seen coming, because you have 3 left-handed guys and they don't shoot threes, and then the whole thing. But now when you're watching it happen, you're like, no, this team makes sense. They play off of each other, even if the coach doesn't necessarily have the best offensive scheme. That's another story, though. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that if you add a true star, and I think it has to happen at the 4, even if you added prime Pascal Siakam, a guy who doesn't necessarily need to shoot, because at the power forward position, your star power forward players aren't necessarily ball dominant, right? So if you add a Pascal Siakam or a healthy Anthony Davis, and again, I'm talking more theory than actual, because that trade isn't actually out there for real. But if you add the power forward type or even a center type to a Brunson, to a Barrett, to a Grimes, and you still have Mitchell Robinson, and maybe Quickly goes out in that trade, maybe Obi goes out in that trade, and you trade all your picks. The picks don't matter, because you potentially built a 55 to 60 win team, and you're built for the long haul in the playoffs, because you have guys that can get you buckets. You have guys that are going to play both sides of the ball, and your team is less flawed, because we know the Knicks, their problem this season isn't that they don't have talent 1 through through 12. It's that at the 1, the 2, and the 3, they're teams that are just an echelon above. So if you add one of those guys that's at the top to this current roster and you're not decimating the entire thing because you sacrificed all the picks, you're absolutely a title contender and I think a favorite.
So as we just mentioned, there are at least 11 teams, I think, that are better 1 through 3.
But even like, look at the on-off. I'm sorry to interrupt, but look at the on-off with Dallas's guy. Like, come on. It's because of Luka by himself.
Right.
And if you think about like even the Bucks, it's really just Giannis this year. The rest of those guys aren't that great.
No. We established this last week. Giannis stinks. No,
fair enough.
Facts don't care. Stats don't care about your feelings.
Fair.
Yeah, and you might have missed that, Mensa, but Giannis is terrible. That was my take.
Yes, Giannis stinks.
Yeah, Giannis is horrible. But okay, so we won't talk about
that on a billboard in Milwaukee. But
basically, what I'm saying is look at the caliber of players that true ones around the league are carrying. If you add a true one to what the Knicks have, come on. I think they're easily like a favorite for a title.
I think the DeRozan trade is a good comp, and I Google it every time I hear about the DeRozan Kawhi trade just to where we are now at superstar trades to then go back and look at it. Jakob Poeltl,
Jake Puddle,
yes, Jakob Poeltl, DeMar DeRozan, and 1 pick, and it was that year's pick. So it was
that kind of trade never going to happen again.
But that's my point is like to look at the next big superstar trade was Anthony Davis. We went from 1 most recent pick to all of your picks and 3 guys that you drafted 2, and whatever they took Josh Hart at, like that. The way superstar trades have changed is a little different, but I do agree with you, Mensa, that look for what's been said about how the ceiling of this team is not that high. It's not, the floor's not that low, and it's not that far away from being even higher with one big swing. And we'll see if they make that swing.
That swing is not Zach LaVine. I just want to make that very
not
clear.
Zach LaVine. I will say Siakam intrigues me. I'm not sure if that makes him a title contender, but if it's like just swap out Randall for Siakam, I'm not 100% sure.
That makes us really good.
I do think it makes us really good.
It makes them good with another year under Grimes. Under Grimes' IQ's belt, I think that makes him really good. I just wanted to say one thing to Shawn's earlier point about Phoenix maybe not being so sold on picks. We could always bring in a third team and facilitate a trade that way for a team that's like really wants picks, could send their players over to Phoenix. So that could be operated around. Yeah. Okay.
I know that they like picks. Yeah.
Imagine Utah stacking up more picks, finally getting the Knicks unprotected ones that they wanted.
There you go. That's how they end up with all the Knicks unprotected picks. So Shawn, I hear that there has been some commotion on the Bird app on Rihanna's internet this week. Host of the Super Bowl at halftime this year, Rihanna, and her internet this year. So what do you got for your topic this week?
So there's been some consternation on the Bird app about a particular player on our team, that player being Jalen Brunson. And this has been going on for a few weeks now. The term going around is that Jalen Brunson is selfish.
So time out. Really?
Yes.
Like really?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're going to do ours together because my topic is Jalen Brunson the best free agent signing the Knicks have ever had? And we'll start with how you and the internet, not that you believe this because you're about to argue on behalf of them being not the most intelligent, but I let's hear what the conversation has been.
I mean, so the common refrain has been that he's selfish. He only cares about getting his stats. He's not a facilitator. He doesn't get other people involved. A whole bunch of malarkey, for lack of a better phrase. So, I said to myself, what if they're onto something? Because I don't want to be dismissive off the rip. Like, what if they're onto something? So I said, all right, let me look this up. So I was like, I went full XJ and I started looking because I watched the games and I think that he is not selfish. But you know what? Let me not just rely on the eye test. Let me look at some statistics. Jalen Brunson averages 6.3 assists a game, which is more than these players who at one point or another in the last 2+ years, large amounts of Knicks Twitter have clamored for. D'Angelo Russell, DeJounte Murray, De'Aaron Fox, Josh Giddey, Killian Hayes, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we'll get back to him in a second, Donovan Mitchell, Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, Jaden Ivey, Anthony Simons, Jalen Green, Colin Sexton, and one Lou Dort. The Lou Dort is a really underground reference. If you know, you know. So I was like, okay. And I was like, all right, maybe that's not, maybe, you know, that doesn't tell the whole story, because I'm the one that will tell you I can get stats to tell any story I want. So I started looking at total assists. And of all guards, and that includes combo guards, point guards, shooting guards, according to Basketball Reference, he has more assists than any other guard in the NBA.
Wait, is that real?
206. I went to Basketball Reference and I clicked on guard. So it was point guard, shooting guard, guard forward, forward guard, combo guard, guard. If you played guard, 269 assists, 2 more than D'Angelo Russell. And I pulled this information about an hour ago. I said, okay.
More than Halliburton?
That sound you hear is XJ and I rapidly trying to get to Basketball Reference to see what just happened. All right. Total.
Listen, I pulled, that's what I did. You guys could, maybe I'm getting
No, I believe you.
But I'll look at it again. But because I figured that Halliburton, because he leads the league in assists per game. But actually, now that I think about this,
I was about to say I'm at the internet now, and Rihanna's internet.
And I clicked on guard. I specifically, whatever, it doesn't matter. He has more assists than all those guys that I named.
So he does have more assists than the guys you named. I just went to Basketball Reference and sorted assists, period, and didn't put on guard. So maybe Basketball Reference doesn't separate point guard from guard. Like if you put on guard, it might not do it.
So I'm looking at it right now, and it's selected point guard, shooting guard, guard, and guard/forward. Now, maybe they think Halliburton is forward/guard. Maybe they have him as a 3.
No, they have him as a point guard.
No, they have a point guard.
I'm literally looking at this right now.
Halliburton's page has him as the leader.
So let me just do this real quick, Rick. So Halliburton, Trae Young, Luka, Westbrook, Harden, Garland, Morant. You call Marcus Smart a point guard?
Marcus Smart, yeah. Marcus
Smart, Trae Young, and Mike Conley. Those are the only guards that have more assists than Jalen Brunson.
That's the list I have, yeah.
The only thing I can think of is I put qualified for the assists per game leaderboard, but I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Oh, that might be it, actually. That might be it.
But I don't know why
all these guys have less than 30 games played. The only one with more games played than Jalen Brunson is...
Halliburton.
Halliburton plays 40. Never mind. Yeah,
Trae Young's played 40, and Doncic played 41.
Do we have to edit this out?
No. This is live.
Love it.
I have no idea why. I have no idea why.
Either way, Jalen Brunson's top 10 in total assists.
Point is,
for guards.
The dude has 269 assists this year, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then I looked at usage. I was like, okay, maybe his usage is crazy high. His usage, according to Basketball Reference, is 27, which I no longer trust. So I went to NBA.com, and his usage on NBA.com is a 26.9, I believe. He is right. Yes, his usage is 26.3, which is behind Darius Garland, CJ McCollum, Jordan Clarkson, Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma. So I don't understand. Like, and his assist to turnover ratio is 3-1. It's 2.96, right? So it's like, where is this coming from? And that's when I realized that there are many people in this fan base who would rather, it's not, to quote the remarkable Billy Hoyle, some people rather look good and lose than look bad and win. And I think what we have in the fan base is that we have a large, loud section that they want to win, but they want to win their way. Whether it's the tank or you should have went after this guy, went after that guy. I had someone say that they thought that SGA, if we had SGA instead of Brunson, the Knicks would be a top 3 seed. And I said, but SGA's team has a worse record than us right now. And the funny thing is, SGA has less assists and takes more shots and scores more points. But I'm supposed to believe that Jalen Brunson is selfish, but the guy that you want is it will make us the 3rd best team in the better conference. So I say that to say we have to take a step back and say, like, okay, are we making cogent arguments based on what we see, or are we making arguments based on what we want to see? And I think that's a perfect segue to GMAC, who wants to discuss how valuable is Jalen Brunson in terms of how good is he as a free agent signing?
So there's 2 different arguments here. The Knicks just don't have a great track record with free agents, so where he is on the list is almost different than how good he is compared to the rest of the league this season. I personally think SGA has been a tremendous basketball player this year. I think I'm in the camp of, like, there's no wrong answer as far as him or Jalen Brunson. I do think SGA adds a little more on defense than Brunson does, but, like, here's the deal, and I think this more speaks to your point, Shawn, at least as far as I'm concerned. I've been begging for a guy like this for forever. I'm going to choose to enjoy watching him, and, like, for as much as we complain about the crunch time offense and, you know, how ISO heavy it gets, his numbers in crunch time remain outstanding. I forget if it was on this show, which I'm pretty sure it was on this show, that it was brought up how good he's been in crunch time. And then also, like, Macri's been making a case for, like, his under 5 minutes with the score within 5 points in the newsletter. Look, I personally, after going through the list, it's him or Allen Houston for greatest Knicks free agent signings ever. And it's Randall might actually make the top 5, but having said all of that, like, we're not, this is after 40 games, I'm calling it, for Jalen Brunson. So it's why you go through the history of this franchise and just, I'm begging, if there actually is a pushback to Jalen Brunson, I'm someone that defended Carmelo Anthony for 6 seasons. Brunson's more efficient in an era of efficiency, and I'm begging that to stop now. Because if I can get behind who I still think was an elite player in Melo being, you know, defending him, boy, am I going to start to get behind defending Jalen Brunson as well. So to both conversations, I'll go to XJ first. As far as the please shut up about Jalen Brunson and where does he rank on the Knicks free agents list, where are you on this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with almost all of the conclusions that you both drew. Maybe with the one being, I would take SGA over Jalen Brunson.
I don't want to say it, but, like, SGA's been outstanding this year, Shawn.
No, I'm not saying, no, he has been outstanding, but this idea that we'd be a 3 seed with him is
that's nuts. That's nuts.
That's crazy.
Right.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not saying, like, I'm just saying that, and by the way, I figured out what the problem was. I filtered it to people who had less assists than, who had 6.3 assists or less, because that's how much assists Jalen Brunson has.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But I took it off. He's still 14th amongst guards, and he still has more assists per game than DeJounte, De'Aaron Fox, SGA, Jamal Murray, Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell, Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, Anthony Edwards, Zach LaVine, and Anthony Simons.
I'm not laughing at you. It's just the moments you've had today they've compiled, which make it
senility. Don't say it, AC.
I didn't want to say it.
It's been a rough 2 days. I am also the oldest person
of players with less assists per game than Jalen Brunson. He has the most. I couldn't get past it, man.
It's been a rough 2 days.
I feel you. This is
we'll chat offline.
Sorry, that was just
content.
a good joke.
How's the cherry pick stats?
That is cherry
Is that
picking
what he
101.
did? Okay. XJ.
Sorry, I'm good. Yeah. Of players who have an assist percentage of Jalen Brunson or less, he has the highest assist percentage.
Yes,
no, I'm just kidding. No. I like to look at assist percentage, which is just percentage of assists that any player get, percentage of all assists that happen when that player's on the court that they're responsible for. And to me, that's like a little bit of better measure than just like how many assists they get or total assists. And Jalen Brunson has a 29% assist percentage, which is 76th percentile among players at his position. So still an elite playmaker and assist man. But at the same time, what I want to just clarify as far as like this part of the conversation is that Brunson is being asked to score. He's being asked to do ISO work. He's being asked to get into the teeth of the defense and score. Like that is his role. And he's been extremely aggressive the last like 10 games or so. And that's because they've needed it. And I think Brunson is a guy who's able to give the team what he needs, and he has the flexibility on offense to either score or set up his teammates. And I think that is really being underrated. I don't think he's selfish and that's why he's scoring. I think he's scoring because Tibbs is asking him to score. Tibbs is putting him in ISO situations. In clutch time, he's the best player on the team by far. There's no one close. So these situations are just Brunson doing what he needs to do to help the team, which by definition is unselfish. So that to me just like is my perspective on that part of the conversation. As far as the all-time free agents, I agree with you, AC. I think, I would just put it out there. Historical conversations are my weakness. I feel like they're all three of your strengths and probably my weakness. But I would put Allen Houston over Brunson. Just looking back at his first contract as a free agent, I should say, not a second contract.
Not the second one, yeah.
But I think easily the best shooter in Knicks history. The mid-range game was ridiculous, a key piece for their finals appearance. You go back and look at some of his stats from three, like he was shooting like 25% better than the rest of the league from three. Absurd numbers. Like if we were comparing that to the modern era, it would be like Curry only taking open threes or something ridiculous in terms of how much better he was than the rest of the league at shooting threes at that time. So, I would probably put Houston up there as number one. Brunson, I think, can catch him depending on where this team goes. If we add another piece, if we start to get into title contention, but he's probably my number two. Guys that I want to just give honorable mention to. I don't think they're touching the rest of these guys, but Tyson Chandler. And let me just say, we're okay with sign and trades here, right? AC, or is it only free agent?
Who you got?
Well, Tyson Chandler was a sign and trade, wasn't he?
No, it was a signing.
No,
he was outright free agent signing. Okay.
So the tricky part about evaluating the Tyson Chandler sign and trade is they amnestied Billups to create the room for him. And that's what people go to as like, if you didn't make the Melo trade, you wouldn't have had to amnesty Billups to be able to afford Tyson Chandler. So
Tyson Chandler, I definitely, obviously he's not up there, but Amari had one good year, man. That year was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that year a lot. That was awesome. And low key, Jason Kidd was a really good signing and had a huge impact on the team, and especially their playoff hopes and success and the growth for Carmelo as well. I think he was a great player to play alongside him. So those are guys that I have up in the list. But yeah, Allen Houston number one, Brunson number two right now. Brunson has a chance to catch him.
Mensa, you've been silent throughout all of this. So what do you got for the people that are frustrated with Jalen Brunson and calling him selfish?
To call the person who leads the NBA in charges drawn a selfish basketball player is like paint sniffing work. It's really, really bad. What? Like, what are we talking about? Like, I get it. You want Jalen Brunson to be the 1997 version of a point guard. You want Andre Miller. That's who you want. Well, Andre Miller doesn't exist anymore. Point guards get into the teeth of defense, says they score the ball, they shoot off the dribble, and that is what creates space for everybody else. Point guard play right now is not necessarily about your playmaking skill as much as it's about your gravity in general. And one thing that Jalen Brunson brought to the Knicks was a whole lot of gravity. So this idea that he's a selfish basketball player, it's like, are we watching the same games? I just don't understand it. I wish more New York Knicks played like Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is not an ambivalent basketball player where sometimes Julius will hold the ball forever, not forever, but for 1-2 paces too long. And I've been saying this forever. Even RJ Barrett sometimes can be ambivalent. Emmanuel quickly can be a little too sure of himself sometimes. But Brunson is the perfect middle ground for this team. And to say that he's selfish is you're just mad we lost to the Wizards. And you can say that. You can acknowledge that you're hurt. You can acknowledge that you're sad. You can acknowledge that your feelings got hurt. That's okay. There's nothing about you that's going to make people think, oh, he's less of a guy, or he's that's ridiculous. It's 2023. We can acknowledge our feelings instead of saying that other people are the problem. Because to get on Knicks Twitter and say that Jalen Brunson is selfish, it's did you watch Elfrid Payton play basketball? That guy was selfish.
Yeah.
What are we talking about at this point? Go ahead.
Well, to your point, this is why, and look, I'm glad we haven't had a Tibbs conversation today, but at times when there would be frustrations with Tibbs and it'd be okay, well, I do agree that there are concerns. Some people just deserve David Fizdale, they're winning right now. Let's enjoy winning for a little bit. And some people deserve Elfrid Payton, some people deserve Emmanuel
Alec
Mudiay.
Burks experience.
Yeah. What we have right now, I've literally never seen them have, where the best player on the team is a point guard. And he's also good too. He's
a leader.
Yeah.
And despite his flaws, he tries. For a guy who is supposed to be the worst defender out of our starting five, and he may actually be that, to lead the league in charge, he's using his savvy. He's doing all the things that he does on offense, and he's applying it on defense. What we have in Jalen Brunson is a physically limited basketball player with a whole lot of game and a whole lot of savvy. And he shows that on both sides of the court. Just because Jalen Brunson can score 35 points in a game doesn't mean that he's selfish. If every basketball player that scored 35 points in a game was deemed to be selfish, then, hey, I guess Jalen Brunson is a selfish basketball player because he can score the ball. But it's just you don't have legs to stand on when you make an argument like that, because you're ignoring all the other data points, and you're just saying, oh, well, that guy was open in the corner and he didn't make the pass. Come on, guys. This is not what we do at Knicks Film School. This is not what we should be doing on the internet. As Knicks fans who we claim to be the smartest fans in all of basketball, we should know better than this.
Shawn, what you got?
I think that when I see that, it comes from, because it's funny, a lot of people in the Bird app say yo, if you weren't tweeting during the COVID season, I want to hear you talking. It's bro, I've been watching this team for 30 years. Twitter does not define how good of a fan I am. But I come to realize, I think a lot of these fans came of age in the Melo era and after, because I watched Chris Duhon. I talked myself into thinking, maybe Raymond, and not that he's bad, but Raymond Felton's the guy, right? I've watched
Kadeem Allen,
Tony Douglas,
Langston Galloway. Listen, we drafted a Heisman Trophy winner at point guard. So now, we literally banged our heads against the wall watching Point Burks and Elfrid Payton. And now we have this guy who is a legitimate all-star. And because we are angry that the team didn't tank, or the team didn't build the team the way we wanted it, and honestly, you want to hear about look at the John Wall interview, and you can say, let's have a conversation about tanking. It's just it's like Mensa said, it's okay, you're angry, and you're figuring out a way to that's how you're expressing it. Just know that you are placing yourself in a box that you don't want to be in.
So for both of you, where does he rank on the free agent signings?
Number 2 behind Pablo Prigioni.
There you go. The one we forgot.
Nice.
There you go.
No, for real though. I'd say he's number 2 behind Allen Houston. And I know it's pretty early, but the the longevity is obviously going to be there with this guy. He's a leader, and I think that's the first time the Knicks have like added like a real leader who goes in the press conference and blames himself and he's the best player on court. Like that. That's the kind of stuff that's going to endear him to the hearts of New York. And it's not like the front office is going to trade him. They love that guy. They knew him his whole life. So I think my big thing about Jalen Brunson was before we signed him like 2 seasons ago, when everybody wanted Kyle Lowry, I was like, no, let's get the next Kyle Lowry, who is Jalen Brunson. And now look at what Jalen Brunson is. And Kyle Lowry means the world to Toronto. And I think Jalen Brunson will still mean the world to New York.
Shawn, about you?
Like last year we gave Juice all this crap for the terrible season he had, and we're like, we need someone we're asking him to do too much and need someone to help shoulder the load, and now we have that, and now that's a problem. Some people are just never happy.
I agree. Where does he rank all time?
2, because Allen Hughes was the second best. Well, I mean,
you could argue
Ewing
that.
was gone. Ewing was hurt, so he was the best player on the finals team. Like, it has to be like, but Jalen Brunson is easily in the top 5. Now, I recognize that may be more of an indictment on the Knicks as a franchise, that Julius Randle is probably in the top 5. But yeah, he's definitely number 2. Like, I can't think of a guy that we signed that transformed the team like this guy has.
So a couple numbers. Now he's averaging 23.9 points per 36. Jalen Brunson. Let's just, for argument's sake, make it 24. So of players in the NBA averaging at least 24 points per game and at least 6.6 assists per 36. He is one of 9. The other 8, Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Dame Lillard, Ja Morant, and then LaMelo Ball and Trae Young. So that's 6 Hall of Famers, LaMelo Ball and Trae. Well, Ja Morant, LaMelo Ball, Trae Young. Well, I'm not going to put 5 Hall of Famers and then 3 that are really good young players in this league. Of those 9, Jalen Brunson has the 6th highest effective field goal percentage. He has the 5th highest true shooting. And his team has one of the better records of the 9 that I just listed too. So he's impacting winning as well. I have a top 10 that I made for the Knicks greatest free agent signings. Let's go down memory lane if you don't mind. Number 10, Chris Childs, and most of this has to do with the fact that he 2-pieced Kobe.
Rest his soul.
Yes, in fact, this is going to be coming out. Wow, this is poor timing on my part. This is coming out on the 2-year anniversary of Kobe passing away. Wow. I will just say, Kobe, we miss you. And in that moment, I enjoyed that highlight. So I'm just going to move on to number 9.
All Knicks fans enjoyed that highlight.
Thank you. Thank you, Mensa, for saying something else. So I wasn't left out here to dry on that one.
I was going to throw a dead fish at you, but
that was exactly where this was going. Cannonball is where that was headed. My number 9 is Tyson Chandler. It's really 2 good seasons with the Knicks, one of which was a defensive player of the year, one of which he was great on a 54-win team and then got outplayed by Roy Hibbert. You could make an argument that he should be higher on this list, but I digress. Number 8 is where I put Amari, because it's really one season, and then he dealt with injuries the remainder of his career with the Knicks. It also, the fit with Melo wasn't the greatest, and then you add a fit with Melo and Tyson Chandler wasn't the greatest. Not his fault, just poor roster construction. Again, this is that first season, though. I will echo what you guys said. My number 7 may be controversial to have this ahead of Amari and Tyson Chandler, but J.R. Smith, a 6th Man of the Year candidate, a 6th Man of the Year winner. Okay, so there is some hardware there. During the Melo tenure with the Knicks, there's a legit 2.5 seasons where he was the second offensive option to go to whenever Melo was doubled or didn't have it going. And on one of those teams, they won 54 games. And it was when he forgot how to play after that 1-game suspension, when he came back against Boston and then against Indiana, that the season kind of fell apart. So I've got J.R. Smith 7, and then I'll go Anthony Mason 6, where I have him played almost half a decade or more than half a decade with the Knicks, made a couple All-Star teams, won Sixth Man of the Year, or made an All-Star team. Rest in peace, Mace. Any objections with my back five of the top 10 so far?
I would have Amari a little higher because there's no Melo without Amari, and there's no J.R. Smith without Melo. So it's like he was like he's the
first domino.
For the fans that revere that team, it's like, well, this all starts with Amari.
Fair.
Because I don't think Melo has to go to New York if it's like all like Wilson Chandler and just those guys and not Amari.
Okay.
My
Mensa.
only objection is that as long as Michael Beasley is somewhere in the top 5,
Well done.
we have
Well
no
done.
problems. No, I think that's perfect.
So XJ, what do you got?
I would just have Tyson Chandler higher. I just really valued Chandler a lot, and I think he had a longer stretch of being really good than even Amari did, to be honest. And
How about this?
and
I'll swap him with J.R. Smith. I'll put J.R. Smith 9 and Tyson Chandler 7.
Yeah, then I feel good about it.
There you go. Because even as I'm saying it, like I think I went more to the offensive end. You're right. The defensive end, especially after D'Antoni left, is when you saw Tyson Chandler shine. Which brings me to my top 5. And technically a free agent signing, Jeremy Lin is responsible for the 3 best weeks that the Knicks have had as a franchise, as a story, as a moment. And friend of the pod, Jeremy Lin. He's my number 5. Just enough said. Number 4, that's where I have Julius Randle. We Here is a season that really means a lot to me. I know with other people, I'm not even saying it's anyone here. I just think that We Here season doesn't mean as much. Just personally, where I was in my life, I needed to feel happy about something, and it became Knicks basketball. Also, man won Most Improved Player, and the rest is history. If you know, you know. As far as people who place wagers on certain awards to be won, and then what they do with said wagers. And then 3, 2, 1. John Starks was a free agent signing, so that is my number 3. And then I go Brunson and Allen Houston in that order at 2 and 1. So it's already very clear that Jalen Brunson goes to close to the top of a list that is not that great, as I just mentioned. But man, Shawn, I could not imagine choosing to spend my spare time arguing on Rihanna's internet about the second best player that the Knicks have ever acquired.
I didn't argue.
Be a free agent. Not saying that you are arguing that point. I'm saying I could imagine arguing with you about that point. You know,
makes sense.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that the reason I wouldn't have Julius so high is just because I would average out his Knicks seasons. He's had 2 excellent, tremendous seasons and 2 like horrible seasons. So it's like it
notice what I said
being,
though.
like pretty good.
But notice what I said though. I said the We Here season. I didn't say anything about after, which is extension Julius.
Is he? Yeah. No.
Now
he's on his extension.
Now he's on his extension, but they gave him the extension after
the We Here season. Right. Yeah. So, that's true. You're right.
That's the contract I'm basing his Allen Houston is number 1. Yet I'm ignoring the second contract.
No, you're totally right.
But also, we can't forget that Julius Randle in his first season was Wile E. Coyote, who would spin into the lane and turn the ball over and really grind my gears. And I don't think I've ever forgiven him for it, to be honest. I probably got to work that out in therapy. But I mean, I like Julius Randle. I think he's cool. I hope that the gift that Julius Randle becomes is something that we're forever grateful for. I think we have to trade him.
And that's the impact of Jalen Brunson, though. They've rehabbed Julius Randle's value this season. We were at ham sandwich mode this offseason. And now it's like, can he be the centerpiece of the trade for a superstar?
Just what you said about the most improved season for Julius Randle just got me thinking this is probably for another Casual Friday. Why isn't Julius Randle like most improved again this season?
Right? I forget who said it. Like, can we just give him most improved every other year? You know?
Just looking at just this, obviously just one metric, EPM in 2020 was 0.4. Then it went to 3.2 in 2021. He won most improved. Last year, it was even worse at negative 0.5. And now it went up to 3.3, a much greater increase than it was when he initially won most improved. So if anything, he's more improved this year from last year than he was the year he won it from the previous year. So I'm just saying.
By the definition of the award, you're probably right. They won't give it to him. In fact, we established this last night. Jalen Brunson is the third best odds at the moment behind SGA and Lauri Markkanen.
He won't get it, but he
won't.
Probably deserves it.
Probably needs, he probably needs an injury, unfortunately. And even then, I think if SGA got shut down for the season, I wonder why the Thunder would do that. I think he would qualify enough to probably win the award. Although Lauri Markkanen's been outstanding this year. Okay, I think that is an extended casual Friday. I gotta say though, and this is like an on-air production meeting. We're gonna do this Le Batard show style. It's 4 people, so I gotta raise the standards or widen how long this episode is always going to be. So I'm cool with it being 80, 90 minutes. But I really liked Shawn. I love you. I loved what we got today, guys. I know that. Yeah, we messaged you a bit. But,
no, you should. I would make fun of me too.
Okay, good. As long as we're allowed.
Come on. I cannot be on. I can't be on the bird app all the time and have a thin skin. Some people do. I'm not.
So is Mitchell Robinson lead the league in blocks in players that have fewer blocks per game than him?
I should have said shit. I should have just done no. Yes.
When
you said the most assists in the league, I was like, wait,
not
really?
I immediately was like,
not for nothing. When I
heard the keyboards clatter.
When we all just did the Scooby Doo.
When it came out, when I said it, I was like, that doesn't. I was amazed.
I got to go back and watch this and see your face when you said it, because it was like a moment of wait. Did I just say that?
Someone timestamp that, please.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for another Casual Friday. If you dig the show, head over to iTunes, drop a 5-star rating and a review. Please put in the review how much you're enjoying Casual Friday and how much you enjoy the crew when we come here on your Fridays. The Knicks play next Thursday, so we are going to be off next week, and then the next 2 weeks are kind of interesting after that, because it's a week until the deadline, and then we'll be doing the first post show after the Knicks trade deadline. So should be interesting what the next 2 weeks are here in Knicks land. The team that needs to make a trade hopefully makes a trade. My thanks to Shawn, Mensa, and XJ as always. Please give them a follow. Their handles are in the name tag underneath their faces. You can follow me, but as always, what I'd rather you do is, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. And like I said, drop that 5-star rating and review. Until next time, thank you for listening. Enjoy your weekends. Hopefully it's bookended with a couple of Knicks victories. And we'll speak with you in the not too distant future. Peace.